I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Board of Leavenworth County Commission. I'd like to invite everyone to stand for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to start with a moment of silence. I'd like to ask everyone to remember Becky Matzeder's uncle who passed. Becky's absent today. Before I do the roll call, I'd like to read a statement by Commissioner Cause. Fellow commissioners, members of the public, as an elected official, I'm expected to attend the meetings of this commission, and it is certainly my intention to do so. Yet, I am also elected from a district whose constituents have given my oath to serve. This is a matter pending in district court that is being heard this morning. This matter involves a public safety issue that has a direct impact on my constituents. My judgment is that I will best serve in my role as a commissioner for the 2nd District by attending the court hearing, if only to further educate myself on the matter and the issues being presented in court for the court's decision. While I will be absent from this morning's meeting of the board in order to attend the court hearing, I am fully aware of the issues being discussed this morning and am confident in the ability of the board and county staff and their proper handling of the issues in my absence. This is a statement from Commissioner Vicki Cause. She is attending the Fire District Court hearing this morning. With that being said, Commissioner Stevens is present, Commissioner Shemke, Commissioner Smith, and Commissioner Culverson. We'll open up our public comment portion of the meeting. Anyone from the public wishing to speak, please come forward, state your name. Seeing none, we'll move on to administrative business.
I do have one item today that's a follow-up from a discussion from a meeting a few weeks back. The discussion was held on how we handle the pay of holidays for public works employees during the summer. Currently, they are on 10-hour shifts. They work 4 10s. It's an efficiency thing for us. It works out pretty well for the county to have those 4 10s. But at the same time, we have 2 holidays that fall during that time frame that the current policies don't allow us to address appropriately for them. I've drafted a real brief update to the policy for your consideration. It should be in your packet. And I think it's important that we address it this week, given the 4th of July holiday next week. So I just asked for the commission to consider this, and if approved, if you could make a motion and approve it officially today, appreciate that. Mr. Spickelmeyer with Public Works Department is here if you have any questions of him.
I don't have any questions of Mr. Spickelmeyer. Does any of the commissioners? It's kind of a,
I think some of it needed to be fixed.
yep. I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the holiday pay for public work employees on the 10-hour shifts for, with an effective date, I guess, officially
July 1st.
July 1st.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the holiday pay for public works? Having none, voting?
Aye.
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 You have anything, any other administrative business, Mr. Walker?
Just a reminder that next week is 4th of July week, and the courthouse will be closed on Thursday for the 4th of July holiday.
And I forgot to mention that our county council, or senior county councilor, Dave Van Perry's, is also across the street at the court hearing, so he will not be present here today. I guess I got a question of Mr. Spickelmeyer. Is there any reason why the road and bridge superintendent doesn't have a vehicle? I mean, all the road and bridge superintendents prior to him that had a vehicle to drive home for after-hour calls. I would think it'd be more efficient if the road and bridge superintendent had a vehicle for after-hours calls, because
We've had discussions internally, and we'll come up with a plan on how to address that. I think I need to have some more conversations with the administration as well as HR to make sure that we dot our i's and cross our t's. But you're correct. That is a pretty common occurrence. He does get a lot of outside of normal business hour calls, and as a salaried employee, that it definitely adds to the efficiency of the operation.
all right, thank you.
I have one question for him too, Wise. Since you're here, any follow-up on is there any additional follow-up or anything about the debris removal from the tornado, or is there any last things that are gonna have to be done, or just where are we at on that?
Yeah, gentlemen, I've got a couple items that I was scheduled to discuss. Should I just do that now, or? Okay. To start with tornado debris removal, currently we're waiving fees at the transfer station. And to date, we've taken 59 tickets for $3,167 and 49.64 tons of debris that we've taken with the fee waiver. So that's continued to go on. At some point, though, we do need to come up with a plan to probably suspend that operation. It's not overly burdensome, but this time the only issue that we're running into is a lot of homeowners have now moved into the commercial phase of their cleanup, where they're hiring private haulers to do that work, and they're getting paid by insurance companies. So we had a tractor-trailer combination from somewhere in Missouri, Liberty, I think, show up at the transfer station, and we had some confusion about what was happening, and he had a $300 load. So he had quite a few tons, and it took about over 20 minutes on the tipping floor to get him. So that's something that we'll need to figure out. So it would be my intention to suspend the fee waivers for the removal sometime in the next 2 or 3 weeks, so.
And this is for residents only, not businesses?
Yeah, he paid. He was confused because the residents were confused. You know, we were taking, like I said, we've taken 59 tickets of residential, which is just people showing up in their personal vehicles. You know, and, farmers have trailers too, so we're taking anything that obviously looks like a person's stuff. But when a guy shows up in a tractor trailer or a large, 10, 15-yard dump truck with DOT markings on the side, it's pretty obvious what we're dealing with. So, and farmers have farm trucks, so we did receive a little bit of farm debris, but our guys are very adept at spotting what is typically a grain truck versus a farm truck versus a commercial truck.
Can we just make sure, just one little thing is, when you decide on whatever date that's gonna happen, that we publicize that well ahead?
Sure.
Like, give a week or so notice to people? Because I think that was one little issue that came up with the way we ended the debris removal, the initial.
So just for the record, we're looking at middle of July. We would like, July 4th, there's a lot of people with a lot of families, so we thought, there might be some people bringing stuff around. It's another long weekend, but after that, that would be our intention, to suspend fee waiver and then, we will continue to be diligent. Just.
And do you have a date? What was the exact date? Do you have an exact date for that yet?
I can give you an exact date. Typically, we would suspend it on a Saturday, because that way on the next Monday, it would be. I would like to suspend it on July 13th.
So that'd be end of day, July 13th?
End of day, July
End
13th.
of day. So, and we'll put that out on our website.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. All right, and we're publicizing it now, too.
Yes. And we'll get that through social media as well as on the website. To answer your other question, Commissioner Stephen, there are some other things that are still happening. We have C&D currently located at the quarry, and we need to make a final determination on its final resting point. So there's that. We are compiling the costs for that now. We've got our own internal costs. I should have that to the county administrator today on what we spent public works-wise with our own forces. We're still compiling the forces that mutual aid provided, so we're working on that at this time too. Whether or not there'll be another pass-through, I'm sure we'll have some kind of work down there to do, but it won't be a large effort like it was before. It'll mostly be one of those things that fits into the schedule that we'll address. There's always a little bit of here and there that just always requires our attention. And then, we've got to do we've done some road repair and we're doing some other road repair. And actually now we're also tracking flood damage along with tornado damage.
Well, I know I visited with Mark about, like, in the city of Linwood itself, a last pass-through at some point.
And I don't know that we have anything scheduled to go through Linwood for a pass. They have the dumpsters that were down there. I think that's
Right.
what you and I discussed.
Yeah.
And we can always make another dumpster available. I think what we need to be careful and cognizant of is, the FEMA is the public assistance portion. And so we have to be very cautious that we don't cross the line into the private side of things versus
Right.
the public side of things. Because, really our primary function is getting the roads open, getting the debris cleared out in such a way that public utilities can get in there and get the lights back on, get services back, gas company, and those kind of things. And then, we did a little bit more, but we need to really focus on the plan and the program as it is administered by FEMA so that we don't run afoul of FEMA.
And we did mention to people that there is private resources, like faith-based, there's some private resources. So if there's people that don't have their debris removed, they can, access that, and when we can put them in touch with those people as well.
Mr. Spickelmeyer, right before this meeting, I got a call from one of our county businesses that own a C&D landfill, and they were interested in giving a price maybe to remove the stuff from the Tonganoxie quarry to their C&D landfill or any other debris we'd have removed. So I'll have to pass that information on to you.
All right, yeah, I received an email from the county administrator, so we are
Okay.
putting that into we're going to, definitely look at that as an alternative, and it seems to be a very viable option.
We also need to figure out some way to get the money back into your budget that you had spent on this. So we don't want to take the money from the roads.
There's a lot of alternatives that are available, and I'll work with the county administrator to make that. We're pretty diligent in our accounting. We've had a lot of these events, and after the first one, we became a lot more diligent. We put into place many years ago a force account tracking system, which uses a database through a third-party software that really tracks it to really almost to the penny. So we've got a very good accounting of what was spent, where it was spent there, and so.
And I know you do, and I've also known that in the past that it's all came out of your budget and never been reimbursed. We took the money from the roads to do cleanup, and the roads suffered for it.
I think the one thing that takes the most from us is time. Unfortunately, that is the one thing we
Lost-
can never get back. We've lost at least 3 weeks.
Valuable
Yep.
weather.
But I'm happy to report, we're making progress on patching. We're making good progress on patching. The chip, as a matter of fact, our road and bridge superintendent and our chip seal foreman are taking a look at, they're heading to Newmarket right now because we've been struggling to get haydite, but I think they're going to make an arrangement for us. So.
Was it Chuck that maybe informed us that it probably takes 12 months to maybe 18 to ever?
Yeah. It's actually 18 months to 2 years to get reimbursement.
I
What
figured
we
that
talked
much.
about is the end of this year. We would, we're going to be looking at issuing temporary note for the bridge project.
Right.
So at that time, we'll probably look at some type of temporary reimbursement for those expenses until we can get the FEMA money, and then we just pay off the temporary note with the FEMA money, because we don't have any way of making it up this year.
Right.
We can't- And since we won't be reimbursed, maybe not even in it may be 2021 before we get the reimbursement, we need to make sure that that doesn't impact our budget for next year, and we're allowed to, through the state to, I guess, adjust our cap because of those fees so that we don't end up not only not getting the money next year, but also then having to reduce what we can budget in other funds next year to cover that expense. So,
And you wanted to start that effort in like Q3?
yeah, it'll probably be first part of October. That lets us get further along, maybe get some of the bids in, and we'll know a better idea of what money we'll actually need at that point.
I'm just from a timing perspective, you felt pretty confident that we'd be able to turn that around once we applied in a number of weeks.
60
8 weeks.
60 days is typical. I would say I'll give us 90 just to be safe. The main thing is we just need it by the end of the year. Before January 1, we have to have that in place so that it doesn't impact our budget as far as being over budget at this.
And then to Doug's point, as long as we do get it by the end of the year, we're not going to run into a timing situation as far as availability funds. I mean, we've got general funds we can use in the
Right.
interim.
We do a pooled cash, and on the Kansas side of the line, we have a pooled cash basis of accounting, so as long as there's money in the account, we don't have a cash violation.
Okay.
What we run into at the end of the year on January 1 is if we don't have enough funds to reimburse that, then we run into a budget violation. So
Okay.
that, by doing it in October, it should give us plenty of time to address it and make sure that Mr. Spiegelmeier's budget doesn't get dinged for that specific.
Yeah, I hate to see him run out of money about November, right in time for winter.
Yeah, we won't let that happen.
I know.
Paint's not expensive.
Well, actually, it is. That's another one of my things. The striping this year. Would they be able to put the edge lines on our or on our dust abatement roads? Is that something they could do? I know we don't stripe the centers.
Let me look at the MUTCD. I'm a little concerned that typically it's the opposite. Typically, they'll do a center line stripe before because an edge line stripe is less. My concern is without a center line stripe, edge line stripes may insinuate a one-lane road by a MUTCD. So, and because you don't have a yellow-white differentiation, I think we may run afoul of the regulation, so.
All right.
I have, this is off the subject, but do you have a definition of commercial vehicles when?
There is a definition in our 2009-50 resolution that talks about gross vehicle weight. Unfortunately, I think that the definition of a commercial vehicle would probably fall under whatever the DOT defines a commercial vehicle as. Are you talking about for transfer station operations?
Well, no, for the signs that we have posted around the county, no commercial vehicles.
Yes, I can do some research. I'm pretty sure we just reference whatever the DOT definition of, it's always best to use a nationally defined standard. So,
So,
have you, I'll review, it's bad that I know the resolution number because I use it so often. It's 2009-50. That is a source of numerous resident inquiries. So we address that a lot. It is a challenge to multiple agencies within the county on that.
yeah, and that's come up to me.
Yeah, but
A lot.
you notice it's a county resolution. It's not a state statute.
Right.
That's the difference. That's where the problem is enforcing comes in.
Right. That's just the issue is if you're gonna have a rule, it's gotta be enforceable, right?
Mm-hmm. Or we have an oversaturation of signs.
Yep.
And that costs the taxpayer money that they don't need to spend.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, it also creates unrealistic expectations of enforcement.
Right.
So-
And, the residents are expecting that it be enforced, and then when certain industries or businesses are coming in, then they question, well, the sign says no commercial vehicles, and we have to say, well, that's not really enforceable.
fortunately, I just put the signs up.
Yeah.
Did you say fortunately or?
Yes,
Yes,
fortunately,
okay.
I just- Gentlemen, I had one other item. E58, I was going to provide an update today. We met and we selected a consultant. We've entered into negotiations. They've been tasked to have their contract before us this week, and it'd be my intention, I will push to see if we can't get it to them by Thursday so we can maybe try to get it on the agenda for next week for ratification by the Board of County Commissioners.
Mike, who was it?
The first firm was GBA. They were the first of the 4 that submitted. They had a very good presentation. We had we convened a selection committee that narrowed it down to 2, and we did interviews with the top 2 firms.
I know we were selecting a committee. Did we ever share who ultimately made that committee? And I probably just missed it, but.
The committee was composed, it was a little bit different and this is my fault, I apologize. We actually have a procedure that has redefined in the purchasing policy, but the committee consisted of myself, the county administrator, Mr. Van Paris, who's not normally on the committee, but since we had some issues with, since we had some legal things we wanted to make sure that we had properly addressed, he was on there, and then Commissioner Culbertson, the commissioner in whose district it was.
The clerk.
And the county clerk was on the initial committee, but not in the interviews. That is correct. The clerk per the purchasing policy.
So I guess my only question there would be, outside of yourself, no offense, I mean, it's a very capable group, but there doesn't seem to be a tremendous amount of, say, bridge acumen unless I've misunderstood.
Well,
No offense, Jeff.
Oh, no.
Or Mark. Anybody else in here that I just gave offense to?
but all of the firms were pre-reviewed before we went through to make sure that they all met the minimum requirements of experience to do the work. So at this point, we were trying to find the firm that had availability in the schedule, a real good understanding of our needs and our issues, budget. So we absolutely needed the clerk and the administrator help on that end. And in this case, we had the counselor, because there are some. This is a little bit different than our normal purchasing procedure, so that's correct. But I'd say that by getting a diverse group of folks, engineers look at things very engineer-like, but then a project is out amongst the people, so it's always good to have a diverse group of people looking at your consulting selection too.
I think I know what you're saying, Chad, too, and I had the same concern, actually. But all these firms that we looked at already have done county projects, bridge projects, road
So
projects.
it's less about the credibility of the firm, it was more just
Yeah.
the operational aspect
Yeah.
of selection and approval.
What we felt delivery would be, as far as impact on the citizens, in that area, how quickly we could get the turnaround. Those are the types of things that we were looking at, more so than were they qualified, because they were all pre-qualified.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'll throw one more question at you. Stillwell Road, when do you anticipate that work being done, asphalting?
Dust abatement.
Yeah, dust abatement.
Is that a Group 1 project?
Yeah, one or two?
No, it was one, I
One,
believe.
yeah.
Stillwell was.
I have a pre-construction meeting with the contractor in Group 1 tomorrow afternoon, and so they will deliver their schedule to me then. Now, again, the contractor generates the schedule that is most efficient for them, so I can't give you a day when they will be out there working on Stillwell Road, but I can tell you that all three of the group dust abatement projects scheduled for 2019 are under contract. So we are moving forward with all of them.
But you'll share the schedules as they become available?
Sure.
Yeah.
But the contractor has a lot of leeway in determining what road he does at what time, or they, I shouldn't use the
Okay,
And then the
masculine
schedule
pronoun, but
goes out the window when you get 4 inches of rain,
yes, so.
Or 6, or 8.
or 8, or 10.
Or a tornado.
And again,
That's right.
Again, contractors have to schedule the work that is most efficient for them, and that's the only way they can survive in a low-bid
At
environment.
this point, really, we're pretty confident they'll be done in this construction cycle.
Yes, it is.
That's all we can really
Sure.
comment on right now.
And that was a specific requirement of there and has been reiterated at every opportunity.
But when they build a schedule relative to what specific day and or week, they'll probably have a sequence of roads, in which case if we have a resident that has a question about a specific road, we can say, well, here's where it's at on the schedule, and when road X is complete, road Y would be next up for that contractor, albeit the contractor has the leeway.
Yeah, I would be more than happy to share whatever schedule they give to us. Understand, of course, that
It could change.
it could change. And,
Weather permitting.
and what I'm really trying to coach is say that the intention is to have this done in this construction season, which is into September, October.
You might know more.
Well,
right
it'd be
now.
later than that with asphalt.
It can be, but
Yeah, I'd say.
they'll have because we're using, well, in Group 1, they're just using 2 lifts, but
Right.
the other ones are using base stabilized or cement stabilized base with asphalt. So that is even a faster process.
Right, it's faster.
You're saying you can do it later in the
You
season?
can go a lot
too?
longer than just a chip seal.
Yeah, asphalt allows you to place at 40 degrees and rising versus chip seal at 50 degrees and rising. So
Right.
you extend your season a month or two, and, you know, I'm not going to make any guesses about weather, so there you go. I'm stopping there.
Smart man.
Anyway, you've got a lot of questions, but I think everybody really appreciates everything you've done during this.
I'm looking
tornado
forward
and
to,
everything.
we had our young engineer, Lauren Anderson, returned to the county this morning, so she is downstairs, and she gets to go with me to the pre-construction meeting tomorrow, and she's going to get the fire hose treatment here in about 30 minutes.
On the deficiency reviews on the PRPs, are they complete?
On the ones that are out, yes, as well as a good portion of the follow-on years. But everything for 2019 is complete.
Okay, but.
Oh, the PRPs?
PRPs that we're
The
gonna
ones
add
that
to
were
Group
not
3.
listed in any of
Yes.
the groups.
Yes, well, I've got 2 roadways I need to figure out, but if you're talking about the ones east of 5, those are complete, and
East 5.
east of Kansas Highway 5.
Yeah, and 174th and 219th, I believe.
Well, 219th was already completed, and it was added to the Group 2 project, so
Okay, what about 174th South of State and then north of Evans?
no, 174, I need to look up and figure out where we're at on that one. That one is kind of an orphan, I gotta find out where it is in the.
Okay, but it was supposed to be on the deficiency review.
Yeah, it's under review.
Okay.
That's the one
But
of the
it's
ones
not
that's under
complete.
You're
review.
saying it hasn't been assigned to a group yet?
Right.
It hadn't been
And
signed
what
through.
we had discussed earlier was those projects that were previously PRP that we're trying to move over, we're going to get added to one of the groups that were already bid. We're working with the contractors who were awarded those bids to see who has the best or the
Fit it in
ability
their
to
schedule.
take it on.
I've received positive response from all 3 under contract that they are interested in providing pricing. They actually have a deadline to do so.
Okay,
I should have, now, but 174th is not one of the ones that I'm looking at, but they can be added.
but the deficiency was done, right?
I'm going to have to get back with Schlegel and double check.
Okay, because it was one of the first PRPs.
I think and I'm not Mike, so I don't know I don't have the background on these, but I'm thinking that was one of the ones that actually had the design completed, and it was like a full design.
No,
Is that
that's
that
178th south of
178th,
Kansas,
okay.
or north of Kansas Avenue, south of Evans.
Okay.
This was a regular PRP, they donated the right of way. And it was in that PRP group that got sent to Slagles for a deficiency review.
Yeah, I'm sure it's.
And it was supposed to be one of the ones that got fit into a group. Now, there's some confusion because there's 174th south of Evans that goes down to Kansas Avenue that is already in a group.
Okay.
So, but this is the mile north.
I've received a couple phone calls this week, so I'll reach back to Schlegel and find an update.
Yeah, I bet I have the email on it.
Okay.
Any more questions, Mr. Spickmeyer?
I just want to mention back on the maybe finding a permanent home for the tornado debris, if something came out of that contract to go north with it. I just want to bring up the fact that County Road 30 would be the quickest route from Tongi dump to that proposed dump. And since we might be talking about, they typically build in maintenance, road maintenance and repair costs in there. And since we're talking about maybe FEMA money too, that might be considered.
control.
Or at least establish it as a haul route to see if we can recover any damage funds from
Yeah,
it.
while we're at it, might be able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Just thought I'd mention that.
Good one.
Strategery.
There you go. Any more questions, Mr. Spickmeyer?
Mike, I was just gonna add, I don't know if you saw it, but we all had, letters, official letters from the city of Baser that were incredibly positive, and it was obviously your group and Chuck's as well that had as big impact as anybody did in the recovery efforts and remediation of the storm. And anyway, I don't know if you saw it, but it was an awesome letter from the city of Baser and,
Linwood?
or Linwood, sorry.
Linwood.
Yeah, and thank you. Our crew,
We
our
got a
crew
lot of
has,
good,
our crew really, as they always do, they rise to the challenge, and we take a lot of pride in helping our neighbors and helping our community and doing the right things. And as much as we hate to admit it, we practice for these things. And this was without a doubt the widest impact of any tornado any of our crews had ever worked with. They've been working, many of them, 20-plus years in multiple tornadoes. And it was good to see everybody come together, and it was just, thank you and we appreciate the
You guys did a great job. Again, it was a great letter from the city of Lincoln, thank you. So just wanted to pass that along if you hadn't seen it.
Thank you.
They've been doing a great job over the winter, and now, like I said, you guys are gonna need a break here. You got to provide a big barbecue or something about Labor Day for them.
We're afraid if we do that, it'll storm.
Yeah. Yep. Any more questions? Thank you, Mike.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
You ready for the work session discussion?
Actually, when you do the consent
Oh,
agenda,
that's right,
because we,
we've done past that, I'm sorry.
yeah, kind of skipped around there.
Has commissioners had a chance to look at the consent agenda?
Yep.
I haven't had a chance to look at the packet we got from NACO.
I
The
haven't
only
yet.
question I had with NACO would be on some of these medical bills at the Justice Centers. NACO got anything for that, to help on that?
You know, I've asked the sheriff to look into the possibility of like a health insurance on prisoners.
Yes.
And has not been able to locate anything that would be, fit our needs. So
Just the only thing through NACO would be like a prescription drug plan or something, I believe. Anyway, that's the only thing I had on it. Any other questions on the consent agenda or anything? I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? Voting?
Aye.
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 Are we ready for work session discussions? Are we gonna-
as long as you didn't have any other
I don't have
items that
any.
you're going to go around on for adjourning.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
before we adjourn and get into the work session, one of the questions I had is we're obviously doing a lot of these comprehensive plan meetings, and the feedback was for, the board not to attend those meetings. And I was curious, are we taking that stance further than just the Board of County Commissioners? Should that be certain staff? Should that be even planning and zoning? Like, at what point do we draw a line as far as, who can attend or should attend? And I was talking to Jeff about maybe reaching out to them to find out, see if we can do a little more due diligence as to additional locations, because I think I haven't seen any attendance factors, and I don't know if, I realize that they're going to compile the feedback that's given, and that's going to be in more of a presentation format, but for me, it'd be even helpful to know what kind of attendance we're experiencing. And is that also driven by location? So
I was at the first couple meetings before they talked to us about that.
Right.
And there was about 10, 15 people at the round table and about another 5 or 6 attending to just listen. But staff was there, planning zoning staff was there, and when the lady from the company came and talked to us about, they'd rather the commission not be at the first couple meetings, but they do want us at the charrettes and the later meetings. So they don't want us out completely. They just didn't want us at the very beginning meetings, because they were afraid people wouldn't say openly what they would say without county commission being present, is what they're afraid of. So they're not cutting us out. They just want us to
Right.
wait until the next series of meetings to show up.
okay.
And they're recording diligently the notes from these beginning meetings to transfer what people are saying they want. So we'll know.
They don't want your input.
Yeah, that, and I think they're worried about people saying something they wouldn't say in front of us.
Right.
They want people to say what
Right.
they really.
Yeah, I think they have, I mean, I think there's probably good justification as to why they want limited participation by staff and commissioners.
As far as I know,
And
Jeff was still going to attend them.
the staff, the planning and zoning staff is in attendance in case they need anything, but they're not participating in the
Yeah,
conversation.
listen only.
So they
Yeah.
kind of back of the room type thing.
Yeah.
That's what we did at the one we attended. We
Yeah.
didn't.
Off to the
participate.
side, yeah.
And then the, you know,
Damn it, you made people nervous, Mike.
yeah,
That was Jeff that was making people nervous.
Yeah, it's his people out there.
yeah. So I mean, I know why they made the request. That probably could have been communicated a little earlier on, would have avoided you guys making a trip over to Easton before, and then finding out that they would prefer. you
Well, I
not
mean,
be
there's just a
there,
few
so.
things I want to make sure that people understand that that has been requested of us. So if you don't
Yeah.
see us at them, it's
Right,
not as though
right,
there's
right.
not an interest.
Yeah.
And then also, you know, I do fully try to, I'm fully planning to have some dialogue to find out what we can do to get additional locations and see if we can't get some involvement from the central part of the county as well, so.
And perhaps evening meetings.
And there, some
They
of
have
them are in
some-
the evening.
Yeah, all the classes are offered at 1,
12,
4,
4,
7.
7.
Right.
Yeah, so the same,
So,
not class,
Right.
but meetings.
yeah, all the meetings
Session.
are offered at different times. So if 7 is your time, you just have 7 PM on different days that you could go to make the meetings.
Right.
But, and they, you know, they were hoping for, I think, 10 to 15 people participating in each meeting. And I think they've been close to that. I don't think they've hit the 15 mark on all of them, but they have had 8 to 10 on all of them so far, has been what's reported to me
I
anyways.
know Joe's been at a couple of them. Has there been, how many you think you've been to?
I went to 4.
And was there about 10 people there at all of them?
The first couple were 10 to 13 yesterday down in Tonganoxie with the zoning issue and growth management. 16 is zoning and 20-something growth management. It's spurred a lot of interest.
Yeah.
They were good meetings.
So that, I think that's kind of the participation they were expecting. They are also expecting a lot of the feedback to be via the online system.
Okay.
And I think they've been getting pretty good results there as well, so.
Well, one observation I have from the meeting Doug and I went to at the initial meeting at the library in
Baser,
Baser
yeah.
was that the first meeting at least, was very heavy with city officials and people that work for the government entities.
Yeah.
And we definitely don't want,
Well, that was the one that was requested.
Right.
They were invited to that one.
and
specifically.
actually the one we were at had some of that too. But, so I just hope that we can, through the process of reaching out to people, we can get people that are not associated with, you know, just regular people
Right.
to participate.
Absolutely.
They got day jobs.
Yeah, people that are paying the taxes.
Yeah.
Because if it's just the government people making the plan, then the plan's not gonna work out quite the way that people
think-
are expecting.
Right. And some of the participation numbers have shown that the day meetings have better participation than the evening meetings.
But that's a certain demographic too.
Right.
That's your older
Right.
people can attend those, but your younger people that are actually working, you know.
But they are, I mean, I guess they are all offered at 7 PM as well. We did put the schedule out well in advance so people could kind of try to make arrangements if at all possible. And that participation is equally, I think it's pretty equal at all of them. I think the noon one actually has the best participation so far. They've had the best at noon. But the ones that are in the evening are not any more heavily participated in than the other ones. So I
And
think
where
they're
can they
doing
go
a
online
pretty
to
good
get, to
job.
fill out the survey? Where do they go online?
I think
to find
that's on that website that's.
On the county website?
Well, the county website has a link, but they have their own,
Okay.
their own webpage. They
So
set
there's a
up the-
webpage,
Complan.org.
Yeah, that's been put out for and there is a link off of our website.
and that's what we hope people will go onto that and participate and really give us their input.
I was also going to at least ask of the consultant, and would love feedback from this group, but having a session or even multiple sessions that were either specific to industry or developers or people that have, you know, as much investment or more in those things actually being accomplished would maybe be a good use of time as well. So I was even going to bring that up at like the next either LCDC or Port Authority meeting to say, hey, if there was one specific to this group, other people could obviously attend, but they're going to probably have a little bit different perspective as well that I think would be, beneficial for the consultants to hear. So, just a thought.
You'll do that today?
Yeah, I was going to bring it up as long as nobody had an issue with it, so.
No, it needs to be done. Any other questions on the comp plan? I mean, to me, you said there's like 15, 20 out of 80,000 people in the county, so.
Yeah, I just want to make sure people know they can go on our website. If they
Right,
can't make a meeting, go on our leavenworthcounty.org website, and they can type out their concerns and ideas there, too.
I just want to make sure that we get input for people that are not, they don't work for the city or the county, or they're not a
Yeah.
city administrator.
Joe the
We want
plumber.
to,
And I also want people to understand that in the beginning, the commission had intended to participate in, or not actively participate, to observe, but the consultants kind of indicated that they felt that people might be forthcoming and you already did that, talked about, oh, sorry.
All good.
So I just want to make sure that we didn't,
now we've
We had you
underlined
covered.
it.
yeah. Well, it's just, we happened to have been at the meeting when that happened, so I was like,
They
okay,
said, hey, they told us not to come, but want to make sure people know.
because we do care
Yep.
We do, and do you have anything for us?
regarding,
Any update?
I don't know.
uh,
Mr. Van Paris looks in shock.
Mr. Van Paris and I just left the courthouse for the hearing for the fire district, and there was no declaratory judgment made. The case was postponed, is that a good word? Or it needs to be refiled. I'll let our counselor kind of explain what had transpired.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I'm loath to give a report until any journal entry is actually filed with the court as prepared by the parties and approved by the court. It does appear to me to be a fact that the court did question the parties as to why the county had not been joined into the action. The plaintiff made an oral motion to be granted leave to amend their petition to join the county into the action. The court granted that motion. It remains, at that point, depending upon the activity of the parties, the county will respond accordingly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for going.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to go. Where are we at on our personnel files that are missing?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, a report to law enforcement authorities has been made on that issue. Interviews have been conducted, both myself and Mr. Lawfrey, by members of the Leavenworth Police Department. As to the status of that investigation, I will make official inquiry as to where we are on that and report back to you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else commissioners have? Going to, been to? I went to Mark meeting yesterday. I'll be going to Basehor City Council tonight.
Did you go to Leavenworth last night?
I went to Leavenworth City Commission last night.
I'm going to attend the Sherman Township Fire Department. They're going to have an after-action meeting tonight on the result of the tornado.
And that's tonight.
Tonight at Station 2.
And tonight is a fundraiser for the Alliance Against Family Violence.
It is
What time does that
It
start?
starts at 6 p.m.
at the
Right.
wine,
At
6
the,
p.m.?
yes,
Starts at
Twisted Wine,
6.
the new one, the new winery. or
right.
something. I forget what it's
Okay,
called.
I'll show up at 6.
Twisted
and
Vine, I
leave to go
believe,
to the
is-
meeting.
I think it's the Twisted Vine.
You came on Twisted Vine?
Looks like we're in agreement.
I'll go, walk in, walk out, go to the council meeting.
Okay.
All right.
Just-
Yeah, I hope everybody supports the Alliance. Good organization.
I went to the Lansing City Council meeting last week, and towards the end of last week. We've got the Leavenworth County Port Authority luncheon today that I plan on attending.
As well.
There is a Lansing City Council meeting tomorrow as well on a work session on the budget. And then I mentioned briefly this World Politics meeting that came up tomorrow that I'm going to try to attend as well. So.
Okay. Did other commissioners get this?
What is it?
No,
So
sir.
it's the president of Institute of World Politics from Washington DC has a visit here to Leavenworth. So they're doing a luncheon I had just found out about a couple weeks ago. So I thought I would share with the group for anybody who'd like to attend. So.
And Mr. Lawfrey's going to be doing a phone
Yeah, I had.
call for me this afternoon.
I forwarded an email that I received last night to the commission about an invitation from the White House for county officials to go and have a chance to meet with staff in Washington DC. I forwarded that to you to see if anybody's interested in making those arrangements. They do have kind of a late notice that there is a conference call at 2:30 today to kind of talk about what they're going to be discussing or how it all works. I do plan on listening in on that conference call. It's in the end of July is when the actual conference is, which requires some travel arrangements, obviously, and whatnot. So if any of the commissioners are interested, we'd need to discuss that, get the board approval, and then make arrangements.
Anything else before we adjourn? Motion to adjourn. We're adjourned.
Aye.
Yeah.
What time do we want to give?
Work
10
session.
minutes? Yeah, 15.
10 minutes?
So if we do 10, you'll be 15.
There's donuts. Don't forget donuts.